What is up, YouTube? It's your girl Evelyn, and you may have noticed that this month there's not a ton of new sapphic content. And while there are a couple of returning shows with queer characters, I've never actually watched any of them. So instead of forcing a new releases video made entirely out of queer breadcrumbs, I thought I'd create the most polarizing best of list on the internet, because
I can thrive in the chaos that is to come.
Coming in at number 15 is a show you probably hate, because most people seem to hate it, except for me.
I'm not like other girls.
Did that work?
Yeah.
Just to be clear, Velma is not my favorite show. I mean, it's number 15 for a reason, namely the uneven writing, the never-ending meta jokes, and Velma herself is pretty damn unlikable. But where I think the show excels is the romance between Velma and Daphne, specifically how awkward it can be crossing the line between being friends and more than friends. And it might be weird to say this about animated characters, but I think Velma and Daphne have great chemistry, and I legitimately wanted to see them get together. In conclusion, it's not that bad. Number 14 is a show that is definitely better than Velma. Well, probably better than Velma. Okay, slightly better than Velma.
Newton's third law states that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Once an action is taken, you must live with the consequences.
Now, I've talked about First Kill a lot on this channel, as well as on Patreon, so I'm not gonna get that deep. But despite the clunky writing, the weird editing, and the amateurish acting, First Kill was easily the 2022 show I was most excited to watch. I mean, an interracial lesbian retelling of Romeo and Juliet with vampires? Say less. That alone earned it a spot on this list, and I 1000% believe First Kill would have gotten better if it had been given a chance to get better. I just want to apologize to the people who clicked on this video solely because of the thumbnail. You're probably gonna hate this. Now, I'm guessing most of the Gap the Series fans have already clicked off this video because how dare I make a list including Gap and it's not number 1? I know, I'm sorry, but the fact that Gap is getting more and more mainstream attention is amazing. I mean, Collider even wrote an article about the series. And if you've never heard of Gap, it's a girls' love series about a May-December workplace romance, and it has truly become a phenomenon online. And without hyperbole, it is currently the most popular GL series in the world. Now, I'm about halfway through the show myself. FYI, I'm covering it over on Patreon if you're interested, but I'm finally beginning to understand why people are so obsessed with it. Obviously, it's not perfect. After all, it is number 13, but I'm hoping Gap will pave the way for even more GL series to break through to larger audiences. Number 12 is easily the strangest movie on the list, and is about how social media use directly leads to homicide.
We are reminded that we carry with us an invisible boundary. No one enters but us. It's our very own safe space.
Sissy is a fun, yet depressing, lighthearted, yet dark horror dramedy about an influencer who tries to move beyond her past only to be sucked back in when she's invited to her childhood best friend's bachelorette party. I enjoyed how ridiculous Sissy was while simultaneously making some very timely social commentary. Also, any film that can make me root for the quote-unquote villain is worth watching in my book. Number 11 is a film that only seemed to be popular amongst critics.
Pero ¿y tu hija dónde está? No soporto que te la lleves. ¿No pensaste nunca en mí? Todo el tiempo. Mi amor, yo te quiero mucho, ¿eh?
Parallel Mothers is about two women who give birth on the same day, then develop a close friendship, which eventually leads to something more. And it is an emotionally devastating morality tale that intersects with the literal buried atrocities of the Spanish Civil War. Granted, that is a lot for one movie, but if you don't mind a slower pace, I thought Parallel Mothers was superbly acted, gorgeous to look at, and well worth watching. Number 10 is a film that most people seem to like a whole lot more than I do.
Time is the thing. Time is the essential piece of interpretation. You cannot start without me. See, I start the clock.
Just like First Kill, I have talked way too much about Tar on this channel, so we're keeping it short and sweet. But despite my ambivalent feelings about this film, one thing I do not feel ambivalent about is Cate Blanchett's brilliant performance as Lydia Tar. So if you don't watch Tar for anything else, watch it for that. The movie at number 9 is a dark and edgy coming-of-age thriller that I ended up being pleasantly surprised by.
Just gonna go to the bathroom.
The Novice is about a queer college freshman who joins her school's rowing team and becomes dangerously obsessed with being the best. Now, as someone who finds rowing about as fascinating as watching paint dry, I was shocked by how well The Novice held my attention, because there is a lot of fucking rowing in this film, which to me is a testament to how good the movie is. And even though I thought the ending was a bit of a cop-out, I mean, if you're gonna go there, you might as well go all the way. Even still, The Novice was one of my favorite 2022 releases. Similar to Parallel Mothers, the film at number 8 is another one that only seemed to capture the attention of critics.
My whole history has been a struggle in a society dominated by the ideas that blacks were inferior to whites and women were inferior to men.
Pauli Murray is likely the most impressive, accomplished, and trailblazing human being you've never heard of. My Name is Pauli Murray is a documentary biopic about Pauli Murray, a queer, gender non-conforming lawyer, writer, poet, and priest who fought for human rights, civil rights, and women's rights. My number 7 pick is a predictable, sweet, and trauma-free, if not slightly cheesy, teen rom-com.
Did you know that Frida Kahlo was bi? She was the OG bi-con.
Oh, nice.
Got jokes for days, AJ.
Girl Meets World falls in love with Moana and her sister, while Megan Mullally talks about in a more graphic than you would think way. Crush was easily the funniest and funnest movie I watched in 2022. It's a super self-aware, lighthearted Gen Z love story full of queer characters, and honestly, just its existence makes me happy. My number 6 pick probably wouldn't have been this high on the list if it weren't for my incredibly low expectations for this film.
I was wrong.
We should team up and do each other's revenge. Don't you want to make her pay? I don't want to make her pay. I want to burn her to the ground.
Do Revenge is a black comedy about two unlikely allies who make a pact to do each other's revenge. And it is twisty and turny and clearly inspired by teen flicks of the past, like Mean Girls, Heathers, and Clueless. And even though the film's stars are Gen Z, it very much felt like a millennial love letter. I mean, Buffy is the principal. In fact, my only criticism is how the film tried to gaslight us into ignoring the obvious romantic chemistry between the two main characters.
They're gay! They're totally gay!
Now, I might be alone in my number 5 pick because I don't know that tons of people loved this movie, but I did.
I'm not like other girls.
Who wants to play Bodies, Bodies, Bodies?
So how do you play?
Bodies, Bodies, Bodies has the most obnoxiously gay opening scene I've ever seen in any film that wasn't
right in front of my salad?
I appreciate that. I also appreciate quirky and satirical slashers that end with a middle finger to the audience.
I guess I'm just a masochist at heart.
My number 4 pick was easily the most slept-on sapphic show of 2022.
Friends can mean a lot of different things.
Stop it. I not like you. Stop.
What?
Talking about A League of Their Own still makes me a little sad, because this is a show that did not get its flowers when it so thoroughly deserved them. Well written, well acted, heartwarming, heartbreaking, funny, female-centered, and surprisingly contemporary. I don't know what else you could want in a show. My number 3 pick is a show I just really wanted to highlight, and is really good.
You're stuck with each other, so you gotta find a way to get along.
High School is based on the autobiography of Tegan and Sarah, and it chronicles their adolescence growing up in the 90s. And look, I fully admit, as an 80s baby, the show's nostalgia sucked me right in. But I also appreciate that High School isn't just a paint-by-the-numbers coming-of-age series. Each episode is split in half, and we get to follow a different character during each half. Overall, High School is just an excellent show, and I wanted to highlight it because I feel like not enough people know about it or are watching it. Is my number 2 pick the most criminally underrated show of 2022.
I'd like to go over your statement. The woman fell from the cliff, followed by the baby, which I caught like this.
Now, I have not shut up about The Baby since I watched it because it feels like a show that was literally made for me. And if you somehow missed me talking about it, The Baby is about a 38-year-old woman who is thrust into motherhood against her will by a homicidal, immortal baby. It's a witty, British dark comedy about an evil baby surrounded by lesbians, and I loved it so much. My number one pick isn't just my favorite 2022 film with a queer lead. It is my favorite film of 2022.
Period. You and your pig can't be here.
Is it that I can't be here? Or that I'm not allowed to be here?
I don't even have the words to express how much I love Everything Everywhere All at Once. I was actually aching when this movie ended because it ended. I could have easily watched 5 more hours of Everything Everywhere All at Once. We got multiverses, Jackie Chan level fight scenes, a lesbian fashion icon, and a scene so touching it left me ugly crying. And if a movie can make me take a lesbian romance set in a hot dog fingered universe seriously, there's nothing it can't do. That is it for the video. I want to give a quick shout out to my newest patron, Madison. I also have to shout out my big spender patrons, Angel, Citizen Ruth, Mary, Angie, JC, and Lucia. And make sure to let me know your favorite 2022 lesbian releases, and I'll see you in the next one.